Top of the day, beautiful people. Happy Thursday. It is February the 9th, 2023, day 329 of year 4 of reading through books, laws, and prophets. Another 4-year consecutive day count. It is day 1348. Today we're picking up in the Romance of the Red Star, which is just another name for Owaspy, on page 30 with chapter 15 in the book of Sathantes. Yep, book of Sathantes. And if you follow along in big blue, I think everybody by now should have a copy of Romance of the Red Star. But if not, it will be chapter 15. Haja said, yeah, chapter 15, but it's on page 28. I think I'm gonna stop giving it to you for this, because if you follow along, you will have it. Page. I don't know. I'll probably keep doing it because somebody really may not be able to get a copy of this. So page 28, chapter 15. I probably should just like pull this out a little bit early instead of trying to find it every morning. Sometimes my day just get going where I have good intentions to, but I just don't. I forget. Because once I cut this off, the day just goes. All right, beautiful people. And once we get done here in Romance of the Red Star or Owaspy, we're going to pick back up in the Field Guide to the Spirit World. We'll be done with this in a few days. And then we are starting the second half of the hour. We're starting in the Scenes Gospel of Peace, which was what was playing this morning just before I stopped it. So let's get it going. Father, we thank you for unfolding us daily in the truth. Tabitha, shalom. Auntie, I already said, hey, Avia. Greetings, Hana, shalom, shalom. Ima, set apart living, beautiful rising, Levine, blessings. Audrey, hey girl, hey. Jamila, hey girl, hey. And everybody else already here hanging out in the background. Top of the day to you in Facebook world and YouTube. All right, y'all, so let's get going. Page 30, chapter 15, Cycle of Sathantes. Haja said, with the exaltation of Moab, so shall my places be exalted before Jehovah. Let the enumerators of the communities of heaven send representatives before me. The communities of manufacturers who produce food and clothes for the Easians, the communities for hospitals and nurseries, the communities for education, the communities for training messengers, and all other communities. When the representatives came, according to the instructions of the marshals, when the representatives came, according to the instructions of the marshals, and were before the throne, Haja said, the toilers shall not always be toilers, the physicians not always runners after the sick. Whosoever is proficient will I exalt. He that can walk shall no longer creep. Many are wise and strong, and some have passed beyond the boundary of self-desires for self's sake. A child may have self-desires, but then it lacketh wisdom and strength. A full-grown man or woman may have wisdom and strength, but lack in the abnegation of self. I will make every community a double from this time forth, and one shall be called Maga, and the other shall be called Minga. Maga shall be my promoted laborers, who are being prepared for the second resurrection. And Maga's labor shall be in concert with Moab. Remember, Moab is the heavenly council at this point, right? Maga shall be my promoted laborers who are being prepared for the second resurrection. And Maga's labor shall be in concert with Moab, the house of Jehovah. But Minga's labor shall be as heretofore, even with individual affairs and the organizing of new places for the delivered Easians, who are the fruit of the Lords and their kingdoms on the earth. So when you die here, you are newborn, right? We're born out of the earth's womb, and we become Easians, or like is what we would call infants being born into this realm. They're infants coming in. So when we're born into the spirit realm, we're called Easians, right? The newly dead, or we call them the newly dead here, but the newly born into the spirit. You're fully born and born forever. We're still here in the womb, just like a baby is in our womb in a physical realm. We are in two wombs while we reside here. Well, actually three. You come in the womb of your mother, and then when you're born into the earth's womb, your spirit is actually born into the womb of the flesh. So until we're fully born in spirit, we're encapsulated by two wombs. The smaller womb, our spirit is housed by the flesh, and our flesh is covered by the earth. And then we got to give up the ghost. Our flesh has to give birth to our spirit. And at that same time, the earth gives birth to us in spirit. So, El Stewart, shalom, shalom. Okay, let me go back to where I was at. I will make every community a double from this time forth, and one shall be called Maga, and the other shall be called Minga. Maga shall be my promoted laborers who are being prepared for the second resurrection, and Maga's labor shall be in concert with Moab, the house of Jehovah. But Minga's labor shall be as heretofore, even with individual affairs and the organizing of new places for the delivered Ezians, who are the fruit of the lords and their kingdoms on earth. Let the marshals select judges to carry out these my decrees in the name of Jehovah. Tom, what's good, fam? Next chapter, chapter 16. From the founding of Horeb until the installment of Hajjah was 130 years, and at that time the kingdom of heaven was fully organized according to the decree of Jehovah, and the kingdoms of the lords on earth were also established. And remember, we believe Hajjah is who a lot of people refer today as Jah, right? Which is still a God, not creator, right? Creator over all. Although some people use that term Yah simultaneously, like they'll say Yah like I now. I'll still say Yah, but not talking about Hajjah, but I'm talking about true creator, right? So most of the time I try and say creator so there's a clear definition, right? But I still use Yah simultaneously sometimes, right? But we know better. From the founding of Horeb until the installment of Hajjah was 130 years, and at that time the kingdom of heaven was fully organized according to the decree of Jehovah, and the kingdoms of the lords on earth were also established. And at that time the earth had passed into Hanshi in the Etherian space, where dwell the Orion Shrivas, to whom the swift messengers from God had reported the conditions of the earth's surface, with tablets denoting the upward and downward grade of mortals. The Shrivas said, the earth has not attained her fullness. The gases of her low regions must be purified to make more places for mortals. And there fell upon earth fire and brimstone, iron and phosphorus. And the shower fell in the lowest regions where swamps abounded in poisonous gases in each of the 5 divisions of the earth. And God, being apprised of the danger, commanded the lords to cause the guardian angels to impress mortals to depart away from such places as were to be visited by the shower, and all who could be inspired to leave were not harmed, but many of the Asuans were consumed in the fire. And not to get off topic, I'm gonna read this again. Listen to this. And we can think about it. This is kind of like common sense. Here's where, I just want to make a point. Here's where religion gets us in trouble. And specifically, I know there's a bunch of religions, but I come out of Christianity, right? So, kind of touching upon the topic was, I mentioned the other day about people waiting for the rapture and coming out of Christianity, being taken by that same tactic, but they twisted around. Now you waiting for Hamashiach or just a different type of savior. It's really the same savior with a Hebrew name, right? It's the same thing. They just twist the story a little bit for you, and it keeps you captive to where you're sitting and you're waiting for somebody to come get you instead of using your common sense. Like, how many, if you was walking across the street and there's a car not paying attention and they seem like they picking up speed, they couldn't even be picking up speed, but if they getting close enough to you, you got all the faith in the world, you believe the Father gonna keep you safe, it's not your common sense gonna kick in, be like, oh shoot, let me speed up, right? It's only very few people that got the attitude, well, I'm gonna pedestrian and the law says that you better slow down, so I'm gonna keep my stride, right? But what if dude or the woman is looking down, they distracted and they don't see you, right? And you believing that you full of faith, you the Father's child and stuff, and he gonna save you, ain't no harm gonna come to you because you full of faith, but dude is distracted. Like they're not hearing the Father at the moment, right? They're distracted, but you full of faith. And some even got the audacity to stop in the middle of the street and look like you're in a movie. Bruh, you is not in a movie. Will stop and be like, I know you see me. You don't even get the sentence out because your ignorant self is being ran over by the distracted person in the car. Religion does that to you. We get mauled over. We get run over by Mack trucks because of ignorance and not using common sense, right? Listen to this. And there fell upon the earth fire and brimstone, iron and phosphorus, and the shower fell in the lowest regions where swamps abounded and poisonous gases in each of the 5 divisions of the earth. And God, being apprised of the danger coming, commanded the Lords to cause the guardian angels to impress mortals to depart away from such places as were to be visited by the shower, and all who could be inspired to leave were not harmed, but many of the Assyrians were consumed in the fire, right? You're not paying attention to what's going on around you. Although your spirit should belong to the Father, your body belongs to the earth, right? And you had better make sure you're using your common sense and your spiritual insight to make sure your body stays in line with the laws of the earth so you can keep it alive as long as possible, right? All right, babe. Love you. But religion teaches you to, like, you know what? Whether you're courting the rapture strong delusion with Christianity or the Hebrew roots Israelite or whatever, you're waiting to be rescued from Babylon. It's the same ploy to keep you to be indecisive and not doing anything, just waiting on something higher than you to come physically save you. Right? No, they operate on certain levels and you're ignorant of the levels, right? If you're going to leave Babylon, what you call Babylon, you had better make sure, first of all, if you're a man and you got children all over the place, you better make sure you don't owe child support, especially if you want to get out the country. Because if you owe child support or you're in arrears in child support, you ain't going to be able to get a passport, right? So you're going to be wandering around the borders of Babylon going from state to state, but you ain't going to be able to leave out of her borders, right? If you do have a passport and you can get a passport, it's not that much, about $150. If you want expedited service, you go through some third-party company, pay $250, and you can have it in a couple weeks, right? Learn and be cognizant of the physical laws here and abide by them, while also abiding by spiritual laws and not transgressing those laws, right? You can't transgress either one. But sometimes if you're a little more aware of spiritual laws and higher physical laws, some laws that would seem to violate others is not really a violation. It's just like it's a higher law being enacted upon a lower law that gives you access to whatever it is you need, right? It's just like flying. It doesn't violate laws. It just acts on higher laws to keep the plane in the air with a whole bunch of different people and flying wherever you want to go, right? It's the same thing. So if you're going to go anywhere, the Father wants us to grow up and use our critical thinking skills, right? Okay, you want to leave Babylon, where you want to go, or wherever you want to take me. Man, choose, pick a place, right? Africa, take me to the motherland, what you assume to be the motherland, right? What you were taught was the motherland, right? Because you black, yep, whatever. You choose Africa. Okay, G, don't wait around for me. Start moving in a direction to prepare yourself if you want to leave Babylon. If you want to go to Africa, Start doing what you know to do. Well, I got a big family. Well, you just gonna need to prepare a little bit longer. Make sure everybody got their pass. Well, I thought you was coming to take us. And here's what common sense don't kick in for most people. You live on the earth. Do you already know how to fly physically? Do you know how to teleport, right? If you don't know none of these other things, how else really are you going to get to another place? Somebody may be able to teleport, right? But they probably didn't spend time meditating, developing their spirit, where they know how to enact higher laws upon a physical law. I'm like, bro, I see you there. When you get there, I'm out. And some people can go that way. Most people will not, because you not disciplined enough to learn how to do that, where your spirit and where your spirit literally can take over your flesh and enact higher spiritual laws on this flesh, where you can dematerialize yourself and rematerialize yourself in another place. And if you know how to do that, there's no need for passport, right? I'm just saying. Derry CM, shalom, Brian Joe. Dawn said, for me, coming out of Christianity, I just wanted someone to rescue me. It wasn't until I came out of Christianity that I realized that I could. Sis, you better say that. Let me read this again. I ain't even finished it. Look. Dawn said, for me, coming out of Christianity, I just wanted someone to rescue me. And if you go look at some of these comments with people, you go to rapture channels, it's always, I'd be glad when Jesus come, or whatever. Father, I hate it here. I'm like, oh man, it's a bunch of, I'm thinking to myself, it's a bunch of kindergartners who don't know how to drive yet. Well, clearly you can't drive in kindergarten, but a bunch of adolescents who have not yet understood that you're coming to a place where you will be able to do this for yourself, right? But you got to understand some things first. A little bit of time may have to pass to let you assimilate the truth deep down in the farthest depths of your shanana, and you can get up and you can roll out yourself, my G. Look, she said, for me, coming out of Christianity, I just wanted someone to rescue me. It wasn't until I came out of Christianity that I realized that I could rescue myself, right? Oh, man, that speaks so much, right? Because while we're waiting on a Savior, we fail to realize that we are our own saviors, right? I know that sounds like blasphemy, depending on, that's definitely blasphemy to Christian ears, right? But if you read your Bible good enough, you can actually see that, right? Because ain't nobody, the majority of people, whether it's the Old Testament, even in the New Testament, unless they had some supernatural force happen with them. And if it was a supernatural force, the story shows that the person that the supernatural force rescued was a really disciplined spiritual person, right? It didn't happen for like the normal people, so to speak. Most people in all the stories, we leave in Egypt, we got to walk out on our own 2 feet. If you leave in Babylon, you got to walk out on your own 2 feet, or fly, kitchen, whatever, boat, ship. You're going to have to do it. Nobody pays attention to those details. We just get enthralled with the glamour of how different preachers and teachers and evangelists and apostles can put words together, right? And if they got a band of people around them that's playing music that can play on your emotions and hit you deep down in your shanana while they bringing forth the word of the Lord, yo, it's like you get blinded by these things, and your emotions have become captive to the shenaniganizer in the pulpit, right? So, but we here to break the state of all the shenanigans so you can think for yourself, right? Pentecostal all day long, Bryce, yo, right? Look, I love me a Pentecostal church. Look. Okay, let me go back to this. Where we at? We at 21 minutes. Hold on. Dawn said, then you spend your time waiting for your rescuer to come, and you stay stuck and stagnant your whole life waiting, right? People, it is so many channels. Here's what's crazy. I mentioned this before. What's crazy is people never get, I'm going to just say it like this. People never get tired of waiting. Maybe that's not the right way to say it. They get tired of waiting, but the strong delusion is so strong and so good that even though the insanity of all the waiting from the cradle to the grave, it's like they're able to keep you on pins and needles to keep you inside of the strong delusion waiting. It's like a constant, well, if you constantly plug yourself in to the places like the churches that constantly repeat this stuff, it keeps you on pins and needles and on the edge and in the spirit of expectancy, what I would now call a false hope to the ignorant. It keeps you like on that high all the time. And I'm like, something like that is impossible to sustain, but they figured out how to sustain it because people stay stuck in a religion believing that Jesus is going to come soon. And they use soon. They don't give you any pinpoint dates. And has anybody ever questioned the 2,000 years? Because I'm sure we're way past the 2,000 years. We're so way past 2,000 years, but everybody always still uses this indoctrination phrase of 2,000 years and our Savior is coming soon. And it keeps people enthralled and on their seats all the time. And it is the best. It is the best. Religion is the best scam ever created to keep you from growing. Let's just say that, right? They get you to a certain point, they give you a little bit of something, but after you get the most that you can get from religion, you just go in circles. Now you're traveling, you're walking around in circles in the wilderness of a different nature, and you don't even see it. And people are able, or the powers that be in positions of religion, and a lot of them are completely ignorant about what they're doing. They're just pretty much a cog in the wheel. They've been taken by the strong delusion, and they're super excited about it and about their Savior and how people can take the words of Scripture and put them in such a way and just, oh, hallelujah, right? And just keep you there to the time you take your last breath. And they nearest Savior came like, hey sis, come on, it's time to go. I know you've been waiting for 2,000 years plus. Let's go. The train is here. No, nobody's ever going to get that knock on the door. Ain't nobody coming for you. You have to rescue yourself, right? I'm just saying that. I sound like a heathen to some people. And I've lost a few subscribers. I lose a few subscribers every time I talk about this. I get little nice nasty grams from Christians that tell me they still gonna pray for my soul because I was with you, sis. But if you've been here long enough, you are well aware of my shenanigans and how I feel about this.
The funny thing is, there's some people that actually say Satan did a real good job with Christianity because all of them some dummies.
Well, I listen, everybody. The fact that you use the term Satan, me and your dad was talking about this morning while we was in the shower. We was talking about Satan because we was letting the Essenes Gospel of Peace play. And so this was like the first time he really just like really paid attention to it, listening to it. And he understands like the different perspective now. He hear me talking about Satan, not this outside third party being entity with horns and stuff. It's really like your lower nature. That's what the Essenes Gospel of Peace, it teaches you that the Satan is literally in everybody. It's the nature inside of you that will drive you away from the laws of life or drive you away from the Creator to pretty much indulge in your flesh and do what thou wilt, right? That's Satan. And everybody has to deal with Satan in that manner, right? So it's not that Satan has made fools of everybody, but in a way you can say that. But you've actually made a fool of yourself. It's no outside entity. It's your own undisciplined, selfish, self-gratifying, motivating, seeking self that is Satan. You are Satan, my G. It's you. You are the Father. Right? Look. Hold on. Yeah, Ema, right. And when you think about it, it really doesn't make sense. But that's the game that religion is in. It's into the game of keeping you completely senseless, void of all your senses, not even thinking about it. And when you would start to wake up, like, hold on, wait a minute, play the music, and to get you going again. Yes, hallelujah. Give my parents tithes and offerings. Yes.
Man,
When you start waking up a little bit, they catch you with some other tactic that they got down to a T, right?
Man, I'm gonna tell you this. I hated going to church.
It's
Every time I saw y'all go to church, I used to hate it, man, because I just see everybody get up and dance. Feel like y'all are some fools. I used to be so mad, bro.
No, you didn't. Look. I know, right, Hannah? Hannah said, I still have family and friends praying for my lost soul. Right? And
nigga, I love you lost.
we would seem like the lost ones to those who are still trapped in the throes and the depths of religion. We really look that way, right? Because they're taught to look at life in a skewed manner. They're really looking at life upside down to when we come out of religion and we get the opportunity to think for ourselves, and ain't nobody holding, ain't nobody gonna make you do nothing. You get to choose, right? Choose. Can you understand what's right and what's wrong? Okay, now you choose, right? Creator, life is in everything. And we can observe and choose to do right or wrong. Does this make sense to you? Right? You have the ability to question and critique things based on what you know. And as you grow, you can begin to apply some of these laws of life. And that's what the Creator gives us freedom in all areas for real, right? Now, there are repercussions to your choices, right? But they're set to be guides to help you realize, oh, wrong turn. Let me back up. Why did that happen? Right? And that's how the Creator created it. He created us as blank slates so we could learn and we can develop, right? And we become solid and we can literally test everything, right? Shebrew, hey girl, hey, all praise to the Creator. All right, y'all. So I'm supposed to be switching over, but let me go ahead and finish this chapter right here, and then we're going to hop over here to the field guide to the spirit world because we had like 29 minutes. But let me finish the rest of this chapter. It's not that much. Okay. Yes. Okay, hold on. Let me see. I'll read this last verse again. And there fell upon earth fire and brimstone, iron and phosphorus, and the shower fell into the lowest regions where swamps abounded and poisonous gases in each of the 5 divisions of the earth. And God, being apprised of the danger, commanded the Lords to cause the guardian angels to impress mortals to depart away from such places as were to be visited by the shower, and all who could be inspired to leave were not harmed, but many of the Assuans were consumed in the fire. And remember, God is not creator. There's a complete difference, just in case you're new. God is not creator, right? The overall creator of all. God is simply just like a title, which is synonymous with the word son or daughter, because it could be a male or female ruling as God for a certain time period. They're the ones. The title God means that you're ruling at the current moment, and you have dominion over the earth and the 3 heavens above, right? But they don't rule forever. Just like presidents don't hold offices forever, it changes out. It's the same thing. We get that system from a higher spiritual system, right? And the gods rotate as well because they just they keep moving to higher levels, right? Or they should, because you have some that go rogue and go on the false side, which you have those negative energies, negative spirits trying to lead you towards the ways of the flesh instead of ways of life, right? Mom, hey girl, hey. They're still waiting for the rapture bus, Hannah, right? Look, okay, so I just wanted to make that clear, just in case you didn't know, or you just now hearing about a wise being getting into it. God is simply like the president of the earth and its 3 immediate heavens above, right? So, all right, I'll leave it at that. And God sent extra workmen and surgeons and physicians down from heaven to such spirits, excuse me, to such spirits as were falling into forgetfulness and dissolution, and commanded that they be engrafted on the surviving Assuans for pity's sake. And this was accomplished through the lords of the earth and the Ashars. At the end of 200 years, God enumerated the people of the lower heaven, and there were, besides the spirits of the fetals, many of whom were doubtful as to everlasting life, 296 million souls. Of this number, there had been raised up to the grade of brides and bridegrooms to Jehovah more than 30 million, who were the first of earth's production. And remember, a bride and bridegroom, we first heard this term, most of us, if we come out of Christianity, we hear bride and bridegroom, it talks about it in Revelation, but it doesn't really explain it. People think that when you die from the flesh here, you can automatically, if you were saved, you become the bride or the bridegroom of Christ. That ain't how that works. They've compressed a lot of stuff and made it seem like it's this fast process. No, to actually reach the status of bride or bridegroom of, and it's not of Christ, it's of Creator. You actually have to pass. First of all, you have to pass out of the realm of the earth, but you also have to progress through the three heavens, right? And you have to pass into atmosphere, right? That's another level outside of the third heavens, right? That mean to be a bride and bridegroom mean you have literally, you kind of mastered all the levels below in order to break out of this realm, right? The earth and then the three heavens above, right? And that takes a while because you got to go through the different stages, the different rankings or whatever you want to call it. And each one has a certain time period that you can be in there. Some are in some positions a little longer than others because of their understanding of spiritual laws and stuff. But you always keep growing. You always keep developing. So, yeah, thank you, Tabitha. The Maga and the Minga process, right? And that was at the beginning, well, the previous chapter. Okay. At the end of 200 years, God enumerated the people of the lower heaven, and there were besides the spirits of the fetals, many of whom were doubtful as to everlasting life. 296 million souls. Of this number, there had been raised up to the grade. Of this number, there had been raised up to the grade of brides and bridegrooms to Jehovah more than 30 million, who were the first of the earth's production. As this was the sixth generation of the offspring of the Etherian host of Sathantes, and all being raised to the rank of bride and bridegrooms, their earth bondage was completed. God summoned the house of Moab for the revelations of Jehovah on the first day of the first year of Dan of Hanshi, and when they were thus assembled and had chanted to Jehovah appropriate anthems for the times past, the all light came upon God, and he said, Behold, the time of Dan of Hanshi is at hand. Ere 3 days pass by, the host from the Etherian heavens will descend to accomplish the resurrection of my host to the regions whence they came 200 years ago. Summon my lords of earth and my people of heaven, proclaim my words unto them. O ye that people the earth with everlasting life, the harvest of the new year is ripened. It shall be gathered into the heavens above. Rejoice ye, for the glory of deliverance is at hand. In Orion fields, hosts of angels and archangels, full of hope and love, wait to receive these, the first fruits of the new earth. Make ready, for Etherian gods and goddesses are setting sail in the regions above to come and deliver you. Proclaim my words in all places, saying to as many as desire to ascend, come ye to Moab in the name of Jehovah. Messengers went forth both in heaven and on earth, and proclaimed as had been commanded. And on the third day there were assembled in Moab and Horeb 90 million angels to witness the descending and ascending of Jehovah's chosen. And the archangels of Hanshi sent 100,000 gods and goddesses to guard Moab and Horeb around about, to dispel and keep away the clouds and sunshine, so as to add glory to the scene. And this, my beautiful people, is the end of chapter 16. And we'll pause right here and pick it back up in chapter 17 tomorrow. All right. So let's head on over here to the field guide to the spirit world. Oh, was you taking the trash out? Oh, okay. All right, because I saw my camera pop up and I don't know what I was thinking. Okay. All right, y'all, we paused on page 245, down at the bottom. So yesterday we was talking about the good old sobering slap and the process of how spirits who are overshadowing or possessing people are set free or released, right? And it talked a little bit about electroshock therapy or electroconvulsive therapy. A dude that gave himself a lobotomy, a frontal lobe lobotomy himself. He wasn't actually going into what he did to do that. He was really just trying to end his life, but it failed. And the bullet actually hit his frontal lobe and it caused a lobotomy, which caused the overshadowing or the inhabiting spirit that was putting his natural spirit in the beds. It caused that spirit to flee. It literally jolted out of him and he lived a normal life ever since. Okay, I'll talk to them in a minute. All right, so at the bottom of the page, literally all right, son, wait, what are you doing? Are you driving to the warehouse? Okay, all right. Enter Dr. Carl Wicklin, who understood the difference between success and failure in these proceedings. In fact, I suspect that Wicklin was the unsung inventor of ECT. And remember, ECT is the electroconvulsive therapy process or electroshock. In fact, I suspect that Wicklin was the unsung inventor of ECT, which began its official career in the late 1930s. A few decades earlier, Wicklin, a Swedish American, had begun using a prototype of ECT in combination with verbal exorcism. Here's how. He passed a small charge of electricity through the patient, thus dislodging the attached spirit and shifting it over to the medium, his wife Anna. To generate the charge of static electricity, he used a Wimhurst machine. Quote, the discarnate entity, Wicklin explained, is much more sensitive to the mild shock than the patient himself, end quote. As one such spirit declared, speaking through the medium, quote, I do not want those knockings anymore. I will stay away, end quote. Like, bruh, all right, I'll go. Just don't shock me anymore. Spirits can feel that, right? Because electroshock therapy is a source of energy, and we're all energy, just on different levels, right? Let's see. To generate the charge of static electricity, he used a Wimhurst machine. Quote, the discarnate entity, Wicklin explained, is much more sensitive to the mild shock than the patient himself, end quote. As one such spirit declared, speaking through the medium, quote, I do not want those knockings anymore. I will stay away, end quote. Wicklin, 1974, page 49. Wicklin also enlisted the aid of intelligent helper spirits, invisible co-workers he called the Mercy Band, Angelic Allies charged with carrying off the entity to an appropriate place on the other side. That sounds like what we learn about in Owaspy, right? So even though we can't see them most of the time, but we do have angel helpers. We tend to call them angels, right? But they're simply one-time human beings who have already passed from this realm, and they have been fully born in spirit, and they've developed to certain levels, so now they have certain jobs helping us, right? The first thing you become is a guardian angel when I ain't gonna say you come back here, but you kind of stationed here. It's like a tour of duty in the military, right? But you don't stay there forever. You progress through the ranks, and we get to that. I think it was the Book of Divinity that goes into all the details of the different rankings of angels and all that different stuff. And it talks about it in a couple other places, but I believe it was the Book of Divinity that gives the very specific detail of the different things. But they are there. So when you're doing, let's say, a spiritual work or whatever, and you're in the process, church, it'll still happen for people in the church who are in you call it the deliverance ministry or whatever. And even though they may be ignorant of some of the processes, they kind of got a clue a little bit about what's happening. Like if they really, not just people who randomly try and cast the devil out of people, right? But I'll say they ignorant in the fact that a lot of times most of them still call it Satan and the devil and his imps and stuff, not realizing they are disembodied humans, right? And that activity is coming from them. They may not have pinpointed, they just kind of label everything either Satan or God, and their go-to term is Satan. Anything that you deliver anybody from is Satan. I mean, I get it. Okay, we're not going to argue over terms. But they would be much more powerful if they understood some of the things and some of the definitions and terms, and they were able to decipher some spiritual things, like Owaspi shows us. They'd be really sharp. And that if they had that, I don't think they'd be caught up in the religious bondage too long, because it would, like I said yesterday, it's going to grow you out of some stuff. You know, where you're going to start asking questions, right? So I would tell anybody, if you don't want to give up your Bible, don't give it up, right? But I would say pair Owaspi with it. And it's not the only thing. You can pair Owaspi with it. You can pair the Essenes Gospel of Peace with it. It's going to help you grow. I wouldn't pit them against one another. Let them be companions with one another so you can get a deeper, richer story of what's really happening, because a lot of stuff we get in the Holy Bible is condensed histories that make it seem like this totally different story, to whereas that happened before it picks up with Genesis, a lot of things will be a lot clearer from the beginning. So even if you've been in the Bible for years, grabbing a Wasp, grabbing the Essenes Gospel of Peace, pair it with your reading, use them together, right? Let them be brethren, right? Not pin them one is better than the other, but take all that's available to you and grow, right? Do thinking for yourself, and you will see, right? Your education is going to be so much more rich than what you would get just by sitting in church all day. I'm a living witness, because I was a Bible thumper. When I was still active duty military, my nickname was Sister Mary, or the Sister of Jesus. That's what everybody knew me for in the military, because I was, and I wasn't like bashing people over the head with the Bible. They just knew me to be somebody who was devout, and I really lived that life. I was still I ain't gonna say a fool, but I still like to crack jokes and stuff, but I was serious about my religion. I ain't crossing. I mean, I did mess up from time to time, but still, I was gonna keep going until I got it right. But that's how people know me. But I've lived my entire life that way. But at a certain point, it's like, is this all? Do we just keep going in circles? And that's what began to frustrate me. It's like I'm living my life like really, like I'm on purpose trying to live my life right. Other people faking the phone, and it's like it's like we ended up at the same place. Why is that, right? And that's where my beginner frustrations began to happen. Like, why I'm overly doing these things and I see no benefit is because I was still lacking truth. So it's I've enjoyed the journey. If I had to do it all over again, I don't think I would change a thing, because everything that I've encountered, all the frustrations that I've run into by being trapped in religious bondage, it's helped me to become who I am today. So I would not change a thing, right? That's just the path I needed to take for me to begin to awaken step by step and begin to ask questions and see truth in plain sight, and how people would be trying to play you right in front of your face. Like, literally, they so dumb. We could just literally and they would literally laugh in your face in religion, those who know what they're doing. But majority of them, they're just as ignorant as the masses, and they just been taken and put into the whole machine. They're just a cog in the system, right? And they don't know that they're being played and turned as well, right? They got a position to play. This is what we're going to teach you to do. This is what you do. Boom. You're an apostle, right? And there they go. They on fire and stuff. And don't you dare tell them that they not. I'm like, oh my God. I'm just not even having these conversations with people no more. That's how I feel today, right? Yeah. Okay, look, let me go back to this. Look. Selah, what's going on, brother? Look, hold on. As one such spirit declared, speaking through the medium, quote, I do not want those knockings anymore. I will stay away, end quote. Wicklin, 1974, page 49. Wicklin also enlisted the aid of intelligent helper spirits, invisible co-workers he called the Mercy Band, Angelic Allies, charged with carrying off the entity to an appropriate place on the other side. And that's what we pause, because as they grow, you dislodge them. They're there to help bring the spirit away so they can continue growing. So they go to their next place where they have to be healed or delivered themselves. When you die, if you die a wretch, you're gonna be born a wretch, right? And a lot of the church teaches you that when you die from here, you leave here, you're like perfect in spirit. No, you're fully born in spirit, but you probably still got holes all through your soul, and that still has to be dealt with, right? You don't just become perfect in knowledge. What you knew when you died is what you would know when you were fully born and you wake up in the spirit and you realize, oh snap, I done gave my body back to the dirt. What do we do now, right? Look, hold on. Ema said, it's hard for me to try and pair the two because I know where the Bible comes from. Okay. Maybe that wasn't the right word. You know how like we just read, we'll read anything here. Like, we won't read anything. But I'm really considering, look, I got the Holy Bible of Canaan. And look, I missed the first video that Selah did when he actually got his in the mail before Father Hasatan actually came on and did the interview. So I was washing dishes yesterday. I was like, oh, I completely missed this video. But I was looking at that yesterday while I was watching this. I was like, that's pretty good. But I had saw the interview first. But watching the interview, I actually ordered it while the interview was live. So when I got it, I had started going through some of the things. Remember, like I said, it's a lot of stuff in there on point, but some things I don't agree with, like with the reincarnation and the eating of the placenta or whatever, right? But not, I mean, I guess you could use the word pair, right? But I want y'all to understand what I'm saying, right? When I say take it and pair it together, right? Because growing up in the church, right? Or reading the Bible, there are certain stories that we get where the Owaspy expands the story. Just like even before I had Owaspy, when I started going through the apocryphal books and I began to pair those books with the reading of the Bible, now it's like, oh shoot, well why didn't they include this? It's like the Bible is like cliff notes of the bigger story, right? So I've kind of passed that stage, not that y'all are. Okay, while waking up, I'm trying to explain this the right way. Okay, so you know how you wake up from the strong delusion of Christianity, right? And then you go through this phase of detoxification, like, oh my God, I can't believe I was deceived. And like, you literally like sick to your stomach. Like I was sick for a couple of weeks, realizing that, oh my gosh, I had been worshiping a false God, and it was multiple, like that whole process. And when you're going through that process, sometimes you get on the fritz. Like, and I was like, you know what? No more New Testament ever, because it's a bunch of crap. They didn't screw with the story so much, but it's still bits and pieces of the truth in there. It's just the way they decide to canonize everything, right? So they've just taken bits and pieces from everything. They put it in one book. That's why I said take it and pair it so you can get the proper understanding and outlook of what was really happening here. Because if you only read this, like all you have, like some preachers will tell you, teachers, the only other book you ever need is you don't need anything other than the Bible. And I think it was like Smith, don't quote me. I want to say it was Smith Wigglesworth. May not have been Smith Wigglesworth. But it was somebody that said, I remember because one of my older pastors used to say, it was this one pastor that said, if you ever catch me reading anything other than a Bible, I'll give you $1 or something like that. But all he ever studied was the Bible, not realizing that the Bible comes from more ancient texts, right? You can go through the Enuma Elish and see a lot of the Bible. You can go back to even books more ancient than the Enuma Elish in Babylon and the Roman times, back to the Sumerian times, right? And you can see that all of that from all these different time periods was all taken from the Sumerian text. They've just taken bits and pieces and they gave some to the Christians. They gave some to over here and some over here. Everybody has pieces of the truth. So when I say take it and pair it, it's to help you further your understanding. So you got to kind of come out of the mindset is like, oh, the Bible is trash, throw it away. I agree with that in a fashion, depending on who's teaching from it. I'll say that your teaching could be trash, but it's still very useful. It really is. There's some truth in it, but there is also some lies in it. There's some things that's been twisted around, but that's where your critical thinking skills and your level of growth comes into play. Can you take it and use it to bring you more life, or will it just kill you? If it's going to kill you, I agree. Don't pair it. Throw it away. Drop it in the trash. Right there. We'll keep one right here beside the table. The table, the shelf, and the trash can. Right? Everything is on the table. We're going to go through it if it's useful, but we can't use it yet. We're going to put it on the shelf. We got something that's more pressing. This little tray right here. Most important, let's focus on this. If we can't use it for nothing, and it ain't good for nothing but the fire, that's why we got the trash can beside the table. Push it there, and I keep matches on me, and we'll set it on fire. Right? So that's what I mean when I said take it and pair it. Because at first, when I first got OI, so I was like, oh man, see, I knew the crap with the Bible. I knew the New Testament was crap, but the Old Testament crap too. But I had knew that while studying for so many years. I said Old Testament to the New Testament. And I was like, oh, this is garbage. All these stories from the New Testament has been taken from somewhere else. And they're trying to combine everybody into one person, of Jesus Christ. I'm like, this is crap, right? And then so I stopped reading the New Testament for a while, and I only focused on the books of the law and the prophets, or the Old Testament, right? But the more you read through that and you really study it without trying to become religious and just be like, oh, I read this and I know the laws and I keep the laws of our Creator. I know Torah. I keep Torah. Are you observing the Sabbath? If you're not, if you don't read it with that type of attitude, you eventually grow. You'll begin to see some things like I did, right? Selah, right? Pine, oil, heaven, right? So if you look at it that way, and you keep everything on the table until you really verify that this is no longer useful to me. I would say the Bible is still useful because people, for those of us who are growing and people who are just waking up from the strong delusion that all they know is the Bible, you can use that as a reference point, right? We know it all too well from beginning to the end, right? But now we've grown a little bit further, right? They're just getting out of the first grade. We're now in middle school, right? And we got more stuff, more references that we use. Oh, yeah, okay, so let me teach you a little bit of what I've learned, right? Don't completely throw it away because a lot of times that's your only reference point to find like a common link where you can help somebody further their growth spiritually. Right. So that's my outlook on the Bible now. Right. I mean, I still love it, even in all its imperfections and stuff, because I can see how I just look at myself and my growth over the years. Right. So this is why I say pair it together. And new people, I tell them, because some people come from the standpoint, whether you like Owaski or not, some of the truths you cannot deny. It can be tested. It can be tested today in real time, not some history that we talk about that nobody can really, like, how can we really prove that? Like, because that's what a lot of religions do. They give you things that you can't really necessarily prove. Like, do we really know that this person lived or not? How, like, seriously, like, for real. Most of us don't have access to different DNA type equipment where we can test bloodlines of people, And I'm just saying, like, real time, real things where we can get out there and actually test in nature, not sit around and talk about a bunch of different theories and stuff. This is what OWASP is good for, is real time, real life data where you can test literally in any area. You can test it in like in the animal kingdom. You can sit and observe, or the plant kingdom, or even in the field of energy and vortexes in the science realm. It gives you all of this. It's so good. And you got a lot of people, the Hebrews, some that are stuck in religion that's hearing about it, that don't do their thorough research. They talk bad about it, but you got NASA using the WASP in the books of cosmogony and prophecy to prove theories, things that they've been trying to solve for decades in the science world, right? I'm just like, so that's why I say take it and pair it with things, right? Even though it could have been combined and put together from impure motives to bring and lord over masses of people and put them in bondage, look at it from a higher perspective. How can we take what's been holding them in bondage, especially if that's the only thing they got, that we can throw a lifeline to them? Let's look at it from a higher light and teach them to look at what they already have. The only thing that they may ever have in their possession at this point of being in bondage, the only thing they'll even crack open and look, let's find some points of truth that we can get to hit and explode in the deepest depths of their shanana to wake them up. Let's use what we already got, right? So that's my thinking about it, So I wouldn't throw the Bible away. I pair it, just like with the books of the Apocrypha and some of these other references that we're coming across, and like we'll see with the Essenes Gospel of Peace. All of those things, take it and find out the common point where you can help set your brothers and your sisters free. That's just my perspective from it all, right? So now y'all know what I'm talking about when I say it. When I said pair them together, don't just throw it away, right? Because you can use it, to help brothers and sisters. Reading the other religions text helped me prove that. So yeah, right? And don't be scared to go. Some people are scared to even go read the Quran. I haven't read it all the way through, but I've read a lot of portions of it, right? Going through here, you just it's this whole mindset you just got to break yourself free from, that the church, at least coming from Christianity, that they indoctrinate you in. And it's just not the church that do it, right? Other religions do it as well, and they pitch you against the other religion and their holy books or their holy texts, whatever you want to call it, right? But how can you ever, girl, how can you prove or disprove what they're saying from what you already understand unless you go study it a little bit? At least crack it open and read it. Ain't nobody gonna kill you, even though they gonna tell you you're gonna damn your soul to hell if you ever open that text. But a lot of us believe that foolishness, right? I'm like, come on, right? And once you start reading, you start checking stuff out, you begin to see why they tell you not to, because they begin to lose their audience, and it's less people now in bondage. You have people waking up and thinking for themselves, and that's the most powerful thing, somebody being able to think for themselves and make a decision in the face of the opposition. Everybody else is going the wrong way, right? We become dangerous when we kick against the pricks, right? When we decide to walk in a different direction that all the masses are walking, because we start to create a ripple effect. Imagine everybody, all of us, imagine being thousands of people all walking in one direction. The energy is flowing this way, but you get one person that stopped. By you stopping and just, you ain't even got to turn around. If you just stop and you realize, what the crap, at least you look, you're not just going to affect, you may not affect those who are already going ahead of you, but you definitely will affect the lines beside you, directly beside you, and the line directly behind you. Because when you stop, the line behind you, you can just say your generation, your family is going to stop too, right? And if they want to keep moving, what they're going to have to do, they're going to have to go around you. So they're going to have to knock somebody off of this side, or going to move them over, which you're going to create a ripple in this line, or they're going to go to this side and they're going to create a ripple here. So you're going to create a ripple directly in your line and two lines beside you. And that's going to happen spiritually too, which is going to cause people, they're going to get, man, why are you stopping? Because if you stop, we ain't talking about turned around yet and start moving in the other direction, right? You're going to cause other people to stop and think too, well, what's going on? Why you stop, bro? You first, it's going to cause people to be on alert, right? It's like, wait, why you stop? Oh, but everybody moving. And if you ain't said nothing, you still trying to figure it out. Either they're going to get frustrated. Like I said, they're going to bump this line. Hey, man, what y'all got going on over there in that line? Man, what y'all got going over there? Or, you're going to start creating waves. And then you're going to create an uproar. But now let's just turn around and they can see your face now, bruh. Something ain't. And now it's more people that can now see your face, and people sticking it. What? Why you look? What's ahead? Wait, what? Wait, hold on. Why you stop? But some people still go like, hey man, what? They too scared to stop with you, but they'll keep going. But they gonna go and they may look back. You still stop? But some people, and when they see you turn around and you go in the other direction, they gonna start stopping and they gonna start, wait a minute, hold on. But you got some people that's so sleep and so taken in by the doctrine and the religion that they just gonna keep going no matter what. But by us stopping, we will. There's no doubt about it. We will. Even if we don't affect anybody, but it's impossible to just affect one person. It may be scattered, but you're going to affect people. You're going to affect the people directly behind you and those beside you, right? And when you start walking in the opposite direction, everybody is going around you. You're going to start people go, hey, man, what you doing? You going in the wrong way. Hey, man. And they're going to start calling out. You're just going to create all this commotion because you've woken up and decided to turn around, right? And some people they're going to be on your head about, man, just turn around and follow the line. You're always messing everything up. But other people like, oh, my gosh. And they scared to say something, but they silently building up the strength to turn around and walk with you, right? But it's putting them on alert to now be paying attention to all those things that they're seeing ahead, right? So that's why I'm like, don't throw away the lifeline to other people. I mean, I get it, right? We go through this point, Christianity, oh, y'all some suckers, whatever, right? But it also tells you there's some things in there you can use as true. Like when you're set free, turn around and come help your brothers and sisters. Like when you get free, come back and help them, right? Because what's the point of you breaking free if you can't help other people be free with you, right? It's like, that's why we got families and children. It teaches you how not to be selfish, which actually raises you in the spiritual grades, right? And you're not just thinking about yourself. If you got lineages coming behind you, those that are actually born in this day that come from your body, yourself, you're no longer just thinking about yourself. Now you're thinking about them too. Man, I don't want them. Like Jeremiah said, man, when y'all was going to church, oh, I hated it, right? But I get what you were saying because we was waking up. We started waking up. Jeremiah and Elijah got the brunt of all the church shenanigans. But these last four, they're like, who is Jesus? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, look. I know that sounds like blasphemy to some people, right? But it's so funny. My nieces, look, they stay over here now. While my family is waking up and learning about all of this stuff, the little people are smaller children, and they are like 10. When she cracked this joke, her and her sister was arguing amongst themselves, Jordan and Bree, and because they listen to me and their mama and us talk about religious stuff, and the teenagers join into some of the conversations, and we just get into some of the stuff, right? You know, and so they ask some really good questions. So one day, her two smaller girls, they got into it with one another, and what my sister called me, she said, Pam, she could barely breathe. She was laughing so hard. She said, let me tell you what your niece just said. And the younger one is like 2 years younger than the older. Bree is 2 years younger than Jordan. They was, you know how girls sometimes they'll go back and forth yapping. And so the little one, what was amazing is that she would understand and be able to come back with a joke like she did, but she used a religious text to do it. And you know how kids will say, you know, they'll be fighting. They'll be like, your mama. You do your mama jokes. It was something like that. But what she told her older sister, she said, that's why your mama loved Jesus. and Leisha, first of all, Leisha was taken aback by it, like, hold on, first of all, I'm coming out of the church. And for her to do this little joke towards her, and Jordan was like, how dare you? Because Leisha been teaching them about that, the religion, and not to worship Jesus. There is a creator. We worship him. But for her, and I want to say, how old is she now? I think she's 7 now. She had to be 5 or 6. She said, that's why your mama loved Jesus. And Jordan was like, how dare you? I'm like, these kids, they pick up on so much, but I never heard it immediately reminded me of your mama jokes. But for her to say that, that was like a whole like revelation in itself of what they can understand at such a young age. And we do such a disservice to our younger children, not realizing how much they can soak up in their very, very early years, right? So I understand that now. And so, which is why anything religious doctrine, I don't ever want them to be a part of. I want them to know about it. We'll talk about it. But I'm like, don't ever find yourself caught up into it or make people believe that you have to be a part of this or you're going to lose your salvation. Everybody's on the same road. Everybody has the same playing field to play on. Everybody gets to make decisions. Nobody can put you in heaven or nobody can put you in hell. These are literally decisions you can make yourself. And based on what you choose will be, based on the decisions you make and the choices you choose, is going to pretty much prepare the way before you. Like you literally prepare your destiny by the choices you make. Right? So if you're getting up late every day and you got to be at a job on time, by you choosing to continue being late to your job, you're laying out the way down the line where you're going to be fired. Everybody can clearly see that road for you. For some reason, you can't. Right? But you did this. Your boss wasn't just mad at you or got it out for you. No. You've prepared this road for yourself in the company, according to company policy, this and this and that. And we've given you multiple chances like we really like you. But now it's out of our hands. It's above us. Like you created this for yourself. Enjoy it. Right? Look. So, all right, y'all. So I'm just rambling on now. Tablet said, and that's the reason I study all the different texts. Right? Yeah, so that's good. Hold on. I missed a few. Hold on. Let me go back up. Oh yeah, I completely missed that text. Like people being scared to go read other texts. My mom said the classic boogeyman behind the door, right? Okay. Classic boogeyman, The Walking Dead. Jamia said, "Girl." Thanks. She said, great analogy. All what we are studying will be of greater use for us in the future. I agree with that, right? Iman said, I didn't say throw it away. I said I can't pair the two. I will only use it like Malachi. Yeah, okay. So, that's what I was saying. Yeah, okay. So, okay. So maybe I misunderstood. Yeah, I misunderstood what you were saying. But yeah, we essentially say the same thing, right? So maybe pair wasn't the word, but take them and compare. And, just test everything before. Okay, yeah, we're on the same page. Okay. But just in case somebody else was like thinking like that, at least I didn't see it, right? So, but yeah, just do your due diligence and search through everything. Don't be afraid to just check through stuff for yourself. It's good that you can have somebody teach you, and hopefully you got teachers that are on point, but sometimes teachers make mistakes. But you as a student have to be, not so taken in by their teaching that you can also stay diligent and when something, so you can notice when things don't quite sound right. Or even if they don't sound right, you just don't understand something, you can't be so taken in by the teacher that you don't ask questions, right? Always ask questions, right? That way it keep you on your toes, keep you sharp. It'll also keep the teacher sharp, right? Especially if it's a teacher has shenaniganizing ways and really want to pull the wool over their students' eyes, right? It'll let them know, hey, we got a troublemaker in the class, ask some questions, right? It's going to keep them on their toes. Either you're going to teach truth or you're going to teach it the right way, or you're going to go find somebody else to teach that's going to follow your lies, right? Well, that's not what we're doing here. And if I say something and I realize it's wrong or somebody asks me a question, I'm like, oh, well, you got it right. I wasn't looking at it like that. I'll be the first one to tell you, I don't know everything, right? I'm going to check myself. When y'all ask me questions, I'm going to double check and look. I'm like, oh, snap, you right. Okay, so belay my last. I didn't quite understand that the right way, right? It's called student, teacher, teacher, student. And all of us are that, right? We're all teachers, students. But while we're teachers teaching students, we're also students being taught by our students. Did I say it right? We're teachers teaching students, but also while we're teaching, our students also teach us. Yeah. Y'all get it. All right, y'all, we gotta go. All right. It is Thursday, February the 9th, 2023, day 329 of year 4, reading through books, laws, and prophets. And of the 4-year consecutive day count, day 1,348. We read a couple chapters in Romance of the Red Star, which is just another name for a WASPy under a different title. And we read another page and a half of Field Guide to the Spirit World. And I didn't even say the page numbers, but we started on page 245 and we paused on page 246. And we didn't even get into like the little asterisk. So I'm going to come back. When we come back tomorrow, I'm going to reread this last sentence over, and we'll go down here to the bottom portion because it gives some stuff from OWASP in its definition. This last sentence where it says, Wicklin also enlisted the aid of intelligent helper spirits, invisible co-workers he called the Mercy Band, Angelic Allies, charged with carrying off the entity to an appropriate place on the other side. Now, at the other side, there's an asterisk, but we're going to get into that tomorrow. We just, pick that up there. So, Father, we thank you that not only do you unfold us in the truth daily, but we thank you that by inheriting truth, we escape darkness. I love y'all. We do. Everybody has something that we each need, right? So share. And this is a place, at least I hope this is a place. I hope y'all feel like this is a place where we can share, right? I'm not more than anybody else. I'm probably way more inexperienced than most of y'all here, right? I just got the fire to get up and read stuff to everybody. I love to read. I'm like, I'm gonna just read. Y'all ask the questions because y'all teach me. Y'all share stuff with me. And I love it. I absolutely do. All right, y'all, but I got to get out of here. I got to start my day. I love y'all. Thank y'all for hanging out. See y'all back here tomorrow morning, bright and early, 6:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace.